The royal family, Meghan and Harry, it's all over the news, and I think it's getting too much exposure now, to be quite honest. Far too much exposure, and too many opinions being thrust out there which really are not important. There are those who've got opinions about the royal family in general who think it's a waste of taxpayers' money, and would like to see the whole of the royal family disbanded. And there are those that are very much the royalists who see the royal family as doing good. Right, my opinion. Well, first of all, I am a royalist. I think the royal family, the Queen, Her Majesty the Queen, and her family do a lot of good in the world. As far as the UK goes, they market the UK exceptionally well, and it brings in a huge amount of tourism. Buckingham Palace and everything that goes with Buckingham Palace. The royal family are very much involved in a lot of events throughout the country and throughout the world, and also very much involved in a lot of charity work throughout the world. So I think, yeah, the royal family are, although they're a very old institution, some might say some of it's a little bit outdated, but I still believe they are very, very good for the country, and there's no doubt in my mind they should always be there. Now, Harry and Meghan, who have decided to want to have a quieter life, and a life away from the public, and be able to do their own thing more than do things that they have to do based on being members of the Windsor household. That to me is a tough one. I don't want to. I like Harry and I like Meghan, and I think Harry being a young royal but senior royal, who went through a difficult start in his life. I mean, he lost his mother due to tragic circumstances, and he's probably the one that suffered the most out of everybody in that whole process. And he lives in this sort of Windsor bubble, of protected from everything, in a different world in many respects. And his exposure to the world has been through his schooling, public schooling, and through his military training and a couple of sorties he did in Afghanistan. That was his normality in the world. Now, if you think about that just on its own, for Harry to find normality, he had to find it in Afghanistan, or in the army, and in those sort of circumstances where he performed exceptionally well, and he's built the Invictus and done all these other good charities around it to support those that are injured, those that are lost, supporting families, supporting youngsters, and everything else. So tremendous amount of good, but he has been very much a tool in the process of the Windsor family in putting this together. I think finding Meghan, someone who he could relate with, and let's not start getting into, well, should Meghan have been right for him? And Meghan is his choice, and Meghan's chosen him, and he's chosen Meghan. So that's the way it is. They're good for each other. He wants to protect his family, Archie, his new young son, and his wife, and he can see she's under extreme pressure from the press. And that was obviously coming out a lot last year when that documentary was made. He has made it clear that he doesn't want, he sees the same happening now as what was happening to his mother, as he understands it. And the royals are under the cosh a lot when it comes to the press. We know that. It's the world they're in. That's the penalty they pay. They are duty bound as the royal family. They are duty bound. It's a privilege to have that duty. Yes, you're born into it, but it's a duty you have no choice in many respects. Now, Her Majesty the Queen has given Harry the choice. I think Harry and Meghan wanted to keep certain elements of their, shall we call it, the royal family privileges, and their HRH, for example, and still do some work in the UK, but also break away from it and also live a normal life, let's call it a normal life, in Canada. The Queen has obviously looked at that whole proposal and said, well, you can't have both. You can't have your cake and eat it, as it were. You know, so you're in or you're out. You're still a member of the family as a whole. You're still my grandchild, and you know, there's no issue with that. But you're no longer going to be a member of the royal family. Your royal duties cease from the spring. You lose your roles, military roles, in what you were doing and how you represent Queen and country now. So he's giving all of that up to live a normal life in commercial business and get away from that royal bombardment of photographers and people always asking questions. I think, personally, it's a wrong decision, because I think this isn't going to change him or change the situation at all. I don't think he's ever going to be able to find himself in a quiet location where he's not going to get bothered with the press or Meghan. They're going to be bombarded by the paparazzi no matter where they are and no matter what they are, because even with his privileges of being part of the royal family gone, and him going out and doing his own thing, opening a fish and chip shop, whatever he's going to do, the press are still going to be there. They're still going to be hounding him. They're still going to be in their faces as they open up a new enterprise. In fact, I would say this process is going to put more emphasis now on the press looking at what they're doing and putting more pressure on them. I know there are people who say, "Oh, they're doing the right thing. They're brave. He's sticking up for his wife now, and he's made the brave decision to leave and go and do his." Yeah, and I think everyone in the royal family also appreciates that. But I think it's not going to take away the fact that he's still going to be in the limelight, and so is Meghan, with the press. And it's the press and the reporting and what are you doing today, what are you doing tomorrow, or what's Archie doing, what school's he going to, what do you think about this, what do you think about that, why have you done this, why have you done that. That's all still going to happen. And I think it's going to it's to some extent isolated them a little bit more, in my view, this. I think it's isolated them so they're no longer in the protection of the royal household. They now created this little bubble of their own where they're going to be in a situation. So they're neither in nor out. And I think it's going to cause more grief for them than anything else. I hope it doesn't, but I think it will. But I don't think this is something that's cast in stone, because, as the Queen has said, this is something that we'll review in 12 months. So I'm hoping there's going to be some shift in their minds in the coming years that bring them back into the royal household as active members in the household, because I think that would be good for them, and it would be good for the monarch as a whole. That's my opinion anyway. But anyway, good luck to them, and let's hope they find a way through. Talk to you again soon. Bye bye.